The credit card would be declined in 3 days. I had no way of knowing this as I sat in my kitchen that Tuesday morning, spreading Costa Rica brochures across the worn oak table like a woman planning the perfect crime. $18,000, I whispered to the empty house, the same house I'd shared with Roberto for 38 years before cancer took him. 18,000 for memories that'll last a lifetime. The vacation package confirmation lay open on my laptop screen. Casa Verde Resort and Spa, Manuel Antonio. 7 days in paradise for my whole family. My son David, his wife Jennifer, and the grandchildren who were growing up too fast for this grandmother's heart to bear. I picked up my coffee mug, the one Emma had painted for me last Christmas with shaky letters spelling, "World's Best Abuela." The ceramic was chipped now, but I'd sooner throw away my wedding ring than that cup. I'd been planning this trip for 2 years, ever since Roberto's funeral, when I'd stood graveside thinking about all the family trips we'd never taken, all the memories we'd never made with the grandchildren. Every month since then, I'd tucked away $300 from my principal's pension. Sometimes $400 when I skipped my monthly dinner out or bought generic coffee instead of the good stuff. The phone rang, startling me from my thoughts. "Mom!" David's voice came through the speaker, warm and familiar. "You sound excited about something." "Oh, honey, I am." I couldn't contain the smile in my voice. I was just looking at the resort photos again. Emma's going to love the zipline tour, and Jake will go crazy for that lazy river. A pause. I frowned. "About that, Mom. Jennifer wanted me to call." "Is she right there?" I interrupted. "Put her on. I want to talk about what to pack for the kids. The weather's supposed to be perfect, but you know how Jake gets cold in the air conditioning." Another pause, longer this time. "She's not here right now," David said carefully. "She's at yoga." I glanced at the clock. 9:30 a.m. on a Tuesday. Jennifer's yoga class wasn't until 11, and I knew this because I'd offered to watch Jake after school yesterday when Jennifer mentioned her class schedule. But I didn't say anything. Picking battles had never been my style, not in 30 years of dealing with difficult parents as a principal, and not now. "Well, tell her I'm thinking of booking that dolphin tour for the adults while the kids are in the teen club," I said instead. "The reviews say it's magical." "Mom, listen." "Oh, and I gave you access to my credit card for the trip expenses, right? The one ending in 4472? The resort said they can put restaurant charges and activities on the room, and you just need to settle the bill at checkout." "Yes, you did. That's actually what I wanted to." "Perfect. I don't want you and Jennifer worrying about money while we're there. This trip is my gift to all of us. Your father and I never got to travel with you kids like we wanted, and now," my voice caught slightly, "now I want to make those memories with my grandchildren." The silence stretched so long I wondered if the call had dropped. "David, you still there?" "Yeah, Mom. I'm here." His voice sounded strange, strained. "I should probably go. Jennifer will be home soon, and she wanted to talk about packing." "Of course. Tell Emma I found that waterproof phone case she wanted. The bright pink one. And remind Jake to bring his inhaler, just in case the humidity bothers him." "I will. Love you, Mom." "Love you too, baby." After David hung up, I sat in the quiet kitchen, staring at the resort photos. Something in his voice bothered me, but I pushed the feeling away. Pre-trip nerves, maybe. David had always been an anxious traveler, even as a child. I opened my laptop and pulled up the resort's activity schedule. Horseback riding on the beach for the teenagers. Nature walks perfect for Jake's curious mind. A couple's spa package I thought David and Jennifer might enjoy. God knew they could use some time to reconnect. Jennifer had seemed so distant lately, ever since I'd suggested Jake might benefit from cutting back on video games and spending more time outdoors. That had led to an uncomfortable conversation about different parenting styles and respecting boundaries. I'd apologized, of course. I'd only meant to help. But Jennifer had been cool toward me ever since, canceling our usual Sunday dinners and keeping the kids busy whenever I called to visit. I told myself it would blow over. Jennifer was young, stressed with her marketing job and 2 kids. Everyone needed time to adjust after a loss. Maybe this vacation was exactly what we all needed. Time away from daily pressures, time to reconnect as a family. I clicked on the photo gallery again, lingering on images of families laughing on the beach, children building sandcastles while grandparents watched from shaded chairs. In 3 days, that would be us. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "Can't wait for Costa Rica, Abuela. Jake keeps asking if there are really monkeys." I smiled and typed back. "Tell him there are howler monkeys that wake you up at dawn." and sloths that move so slowly they'll make him feel speedy. The reply came immediately. LOL. Mom says we need to pack light, but I have so many cute outfits. Pack whatever makes you happy, Mija. This is our adventure. I set down the phone and looked around my kitchen. At Roberto's coffee mug still sitting by the sink, at the school photos of Emma and Jake held by magnets on the refrigerator, at the calendar marking off the days until our departure. Friday couldn't come fast enough. I had no way of knowing that Jennifer was already packing, but not for Costa Rica. No way of knowing that the family meeting happening in my son's living room that very moment had nothing to do with what to bring on vacation, and everything to do with who wouldn't be going. No way of knowing that the perfect plan I'd spent 2 years crafting was about to shatter like a coffee mug dropped on ceramic tile. But I'd find out soon enough. Friday morning arrived with the kind of brilliant Texas sunshine that promised adventure. I was supposed to be at the airport in 6 hours. Instead, I was pushing a shopping cart through the aisles of H-E-B, mentally checking off my travel snack list. Goldfish crackers for Jake, the boy could live on them. Those fancy granola bars Emma liked. The ones with dark chocolate that cost twice as much as the regular ones, but were worth it to see her smile. I'd grabbed a bag of Roberto's favorite beef jerky, the spicy kind, before remembering with that familiar pang that he wouldn't be coming on this trip or any other. My phone sat in the cart's child seat, next to my purse and the reusable shopping bags I always forgot to bring until I was already in the store. The screen lit up with a text notification. David's name appeared, and my heart did that little flutter it always did when one of my children reached out. Maybe he was confirming our flight details, or asking if I'd remembered to pack Jake's motion sickness patches. I picked up the phone, still standing in the snack aisle between the Cheez-Its and the trail mix. Mom, I need to tell you something, and I don't know how to say this. Jennifer has decided this vacation should be immediate family only. She's bringing her parents and her sister instead. I'm sorry. I know you planned this whole thing, but I can't fight her on this right now. I hope you understand. I read it once. Twice. 3 times. The words didn't change. My hands started shaking. A woman with 2 toddlers in her cart maneuvered around me, giving me a concerned look as I stood frozen in the middle of the aisle, staring at my phone screen like it might suddenly reveal a different message. Immediate family only. The words felt like a slap. What was I if not immediate family? I was David's mother. I was Emma and Jake's grandmother. I was the woman who had paid $18,000 for this trip, who had saved for 2 years, who had given them access to my credit card so they wouldn't have to worry about expenses. My phone buzzed again. I know you're upset. Can we talk when I get back? When he got back. From the vacation. The vacation I was paying for. The vacation I was no longer invited to. I started typing with trembling fingers. David, what do you mean immediate family? I am your family. The 3 dots appeared, showing he was typing. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. I know, Mom. It's complicated. Jennifer's family needs this time together, and she thinks it would be weird with you there too. Weird. My presence would be weird on the family vacation I had planned and paid for. I abandoned my cart right there in the snack aisle and walked to my car on unsteady legs. My chest felt tight, like someone was sitting on it. This couldn't be real. This had to be some kind of misunderstanding. I called David. It went straight to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. On the 3rd try, Jennifer answered David's phone. Hi, Maggie. Her voice was bright, cheerful, like she was talking to an acquaintance at the grocery store. David's in the shower. We're just finishing up packing. Jennifer. I tried to keep my voice steady. I just got David's text. There must be some mistake. Oh, no mistake. I could hear her moving around, probably folding clothes or zipping suitcases. I just think it'll be better this way. More relaxing. You understand. No, I don't understand. The words came out sharper than I intended. This is a family vacation that I planned and paid for. How exactly am I not family? A pause. Well, when I say family, I mean nuclear family. Immediate family. The kids need time with their parents and grandparents, their other grandparents, I mean. My parents haven't seen them in months. Your parents see them every other weekend. I see them when you allow it, which lately has been almost never. That's not true. You're being dramatic. Dramatic. There was that word again, the one Jennifer used whenever I expressed any opinion about anything related to my son or grandchildren. Jennifer, I've spent $18,000 on this trip. And that's very generous of you. We'll pay you back, of course. Eventually. Eventually. Like I was a creditor they'd get around to when convenient. I don't want you to pay me back. I want to go on the vacation with my family. Maggie, I've already coordinated everything with my parents and my sister. It's too late to change plans now. Too late to change plans. But apparently it hadn't been too late when they decided to uninvite the person who was paying for everything. Put David on the phone. He's really tied up right now. Jennifer, put my son on the phone. Now. Another pause. I heard muffled conversation, then David's voice, tight and uncomfortable. Mom! David, what is this? What's happening? I'm sorry. I really am. But Jennifer's right, it'll be easier this way. Less tense. Tense. When have I ever made things tense? Silence. David. You haven't, Mom. Not really. It's just. Jennifer thinks you have strong opinions about how we should raise the kids, and she wants to relax on vacation without feeling judged. Judged. For suggesting Jake spend less time on video games. For bringing books instead of iPads when I babysat. For actually talking to my grandchildren instead of handing them devices to keep them quiet. I see. My voice sounded hollow, even to me. And you agree with her. I think it's just better for everyone if we keep things simple this time. This time. As if there would be a next time. As if I would ever trust them with my heart or my money again. I have to go, I said. Mom, please don't be angry. We can plan something else later. I hung up. I sat in my car in the H-E-B parking lot, still clutching my phone, trying to process what had just happened. In the span of 20 minutes, I'd gone from excited grandmother packing snacks for a dream vacation to discarded outsider, uninvited to the trip I'd planned and paid for. My phone buzzed with notifications. Text messages, probably from David trying to smooth things over with more excuses and promises of future trips that would never happen. But when I looked at the screen, I saw something else. Facebook notifications. Instagram notifications. My hands were steadier now, though whether from shock or growing anger, I couldn't tell. I opened Facebook first. Jennifer's latest post from this morning. So excited for our family bonding trip. Sometimes you need to get away with the people who matter most. Can't wait for the kids to spend quality time with their grandparents. Hashtag family first, hashtag blessed, hashtag memories. Family first. The people who matter most. I scrolled through the comments. Jennifer's mother. So excited to finally have some real family time. The kids are going to love it. Jennifer's sister. Best aunt trip ever. Can't wait to spoil my niece and nephew. Several people had asked about dates and plans. Jennifer had been responding all week. All week. I clicked on Jennifer's profile, scrolling back through her posts. There, 5 days ago. Sometimes you have to make hard decisions about what's best for your family. Quality over quantity. Airplane. 4 days ago. Planning the perfect family getaway. So important for kids to have dedicated time with the grandparents who truly get them. The grandparents who truly get them. Not the grandmother who had raised their father, who had been a principal for 30 years, who had loved those children since the moment they were born. The other grandparents. The ones who mattered. I switched to Instagram. More of the same. Photos of suitcases being packed. A boomerang video of Jennifer's sister trying on a new swimsuit with the caption, Aunt Life. Ready for paradise. They hadn't just decided this. They'd been planning it. For days, maybe weeks. Planning to take my vacation, to replace me with Jennifer's family, to cut me out completely while still taking my money. I scrolled further back on Jennifer's Instagram, looking for clues I'd missed. There, 2 weeks ago, a post I hadn't paid attention to at the time. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is create boundaries. Protecting your nuclear family isn't selfish, it's necessary. Nuclear family. There was that phrase again. The comments on that post were telling. Jennifer's mother. So proud of you for putting your family first. Jennifer's sister. Boundaries are healthy. You're such a good mom. And then, buried in the comments, a response from Jennifer that made my blood run cold. It's hard when people think they know what's best for your kids better than you do. Sometimes you have to make tough choices. People. As if I were some stranger off the street instead of the woman who had held David when he cried over skinned knees, who had worked 3 jobs to pay for his college, who had been there for every milestone and heartbreak. I closed Instagram and just sat there, letting the full scope of their betrayal wash over me. This wasn't a last-minute decision. This wasn't Jennifer getting stressed and making an impulsive choice. This was calculated, planned, orchestrated. They had let me continue planning, continue paying, continue believing I was included, all while plotting to replace me with Jennifer's family. They had taken my money, my time, my love, and thrown it back in my face. My phone rang. David again. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again. Voicemail. A text came through. Mom, please call me back. We can work this out. Work what out? The fact that his wife had manipulated him into betraying his own mother? The fact that he'd chosen her over the woman who had given him life and love and everything she had? Another text. I know you're hurt, but please try to understand. Understand. I understood perfectly. I understood that my son was a coward who couldn't stand up to his wife. I understood that Jennifer had been planning this humiliation for weeks. I understood that I had been completely and utterly replaced by people who truly got my grandchildren. I started my car and drove home through blurry vision, my heart pounding with a mixture of grief and rage I'd never experienced before. Even when Roberto died, even during the worst days of his illness, I'd never felt this kind of deliberate, personal cruelty. At home, I walked straight to my laptop and opened my banking app. The credit card account that David had access to. The one ending in 4472. The one they were planning to use for their family bonding vacation. The one that was about to become their biggest problem. I smiled for the first time since reading that text message. It wasn't a happy smile. They wanted immediate family only? They were about to learn exactly what that meant. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open, staring at the banking website login screen. My coffee had gone cold an hour ago, but I hadn't moved to warm it up. I hadn't moved at all except to breathe and think and let the full weight of what I was about to do settle over me. It was 7:23 p.m. In 12 hours, David and Jennifer would be at the airport with her family, checking in for the vacation I had planned, paid for, and been exiled from. In 12 hours, they would expect to waltz through security and onto that plane, secure in the knowledge that my credit card would cover their every whim in paradise. They were wrong. I typed in my username and password, my fingers steady now. The shock had worn off. The tears had dried. What remained was something cold and sharp and absolutely certain. The account dashboard loaded. There it was, the travel fund I'd built over 2 years. $18,000 in a dedicated savings account, plus the credit card with a $25,000 limit that I'd specifically raised for this trip. David was listed as an authorized user on both accounts. Not anymore. I clicked through to account management, my movements deliberate and precise. 30 years as a school principal had taught me the value of careful documentation and decisive action. I'd handled plenty of difficult situations, angry parents, troubled students, budget crises. This was just another problem that required a practical solution. First, the savings account. I transferred every penny to my primary checking account, the one David had never had access to. $18,000, gone from his reach in a matter of seconds. Next, the credit card. I clicked Manage Authorized Users and found David's name. Such a simple thing, really. Add user. Remove user. I'd added him 3 weeks ago with such excitement, imagining him using it for romantic dinners with Jennifer, for activities with the kids, for souvenirs and memories. I clicked Remove User. A pop-up appeared. Are you sure you want to remove David Rodriguez as an authorized user? This action cannot be undone immediately and may take 24 to 48 hours to process. I clicked Confirm. But I wasn't done. I called the bank's 24-hour customer service line. Thank you for calling First National Bank. This is Marcus. How can I help you today? I need to put a freeze on my credit card immediately, I said. Card number ending in 4472. I can definitely help you with that, ma'am. Can you verify your identity for me? I went through the security questions, answering each one calmly. Date of birth. Social security number. Mother's maiden name. The name of my first pet, Cisco, a black lab mix Roberto had brought home as a puppy when David was 10. Perfect, Mrs. Rodriguez. Now, is this due to suspected fraud or theft? I paused. Was it theft? Taking someone's money under false pretenses, letting them believe they were included in plans while secretly plotting to exclude them? Using their generosity while showing them nothing but contempt? Yes, I said. Unauthorized usage. I understand. I'm placing an immediate freeze on the account. No transactions will be authorized until you call to lift the freeze. Is there anything else I can help you with? That's all. Thank you. I hung up and sat back in my chair. It was done. In a few keystrokes and a phone call, I'd cut them off completely. They could still go on their trip. Jennifer's family presumably had their own money, but they wouldn't be doing it on my dime. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. Abuela. We're packing. Jake found his favorite swim trunks, and he's wearing them around the house, LOL. Can't wait to see you at the airport tomorrow. My heart clenched. Emma didn't know. The kids had no idea what their parents had done, what they'd planned. They probably thought I'd be picking them up in the morning for our ride to the airport. I stared at the message for a long time before typing back. Have fun packing, Mija. Take lots of pictures. It wasn't a lie exactly. They would take pictures, just not with me in them. My phone rang immediately. Emma, calling instead of texting. Abuela? You sound weird. Are you okay? I'm fine, sweetheart. Just tired. Are you excited? I can't sleep. Mom made us go to bed early, but I'm too excited. Dad keeps checking the weather, and Jake is practicing holding his breath for the pool. Each word was a knife. They were excited. They were happy. They had no idea that their grandmother, the one who'd made this trip possible, had been tossed aside like an old newspaper. That's wonderful, Emma. Oh, and guess what? Mom said Grandma Carol and Grandpa Bill and Aunt Sarah are coming too. Isn't that amazing? It's going to be like a huge family reunion. There it was. Jennifer hadn't even told the children the truth. She'd spun it as an addition, not a replacement. One big happy family, with me conveniently erased from the picture. Amazing, I managed. I have to go, Mom's coming. See you in the morning. Love you. Love you too, baby. After she hung up, I sat in the quiet kitchen and cried. Not the angry tears from earlier, but deep, grieving sobs for the relationship with my grandchildren that Jennifer was systematically destroying. For the trust my son had shattered. For the loneliness that stretched ahead of me. But when the tears stopped, the cold determination remained. I opened my laptop again and pulled up the airline website. I'd booked their flights, so I had the confirmation number. I logged into the trip management portal and found their itinerary. Flight 847, departing Houston Intercontinental at 10:45 a.m., arriving in San Jose, Costa Rica at 5:30 p.m. local time after a layover in Mexico City. I could track their progress in real time. I set my phone alarm for 9 a.m. I wanted to be awake when they got to the airport. I wanted to be awake when they boarded that plane, thinking they were so clever, so justified in their betrayal. I wanted to be awake when they learned the consequences of their choices. Saturday morning arrived gray and drizzly, matching my mood. I'd slept fitfully, waking every few hours to check the time. At 8:30, I made coffee and toast I couldn't eat, then sat down with my laptop to track their progress. At 9:15, I got a text from David. At the airport. Flight's on time. Kids are excited. I didn't respond. At 10:20, boarding soon. Thanks again for everything, Mom. We'll call you when we land. Everything. As if everything didn't include the $18,000 and 2 years of planning he was casually dismissing. I pulled up the flight tracker on my phone. Flight 847 was still at the gate, boarding in progress. At 10:47, the status changed to departed. They were airborne, on their way to paradise, with Jennifer's family settled into the seats that should have been mine, using the vacation I'd created to bond with grandchildren I might never see again. I tracked their progress across Texas, watching the little airplane icon crawl across the map. They'd be in the air for about 2 hours before their layover in Mexico City. Then another 3 hours to Costa Rica. I wondered when they'd try to use the card. Probably during the flight, drinks, snacks, maybe duty-free shopping in Mexico City. David had always been a nervous flyer. He usually bought a drink or two to calm his nerves. At 12:30 p.m., right about the time they'd be cruising over Mexico, my phone rang. David. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again immediately. Voicemail. A text came through. Mom, call me back immediately. Something's wrong with the card. I smiled and took a sip of my coffee. There was nothing wrong with the card. The card was working exactly as intended. Another call. Another text. Mom, please. We're on the plane and the card was declined. People are staring. Good. Let them stare. Let Jennifer's family see exactly what kind of situation their daughter had created with her manipulative games. My phone started buzzing constantly. Calls from David. Texts from David. Then, to my surprise, a call from Jennifer. I let it all go to voicemail. The plane icon on my tracking app had landed in Mexico City. 1 hour layover before their final flight to Costa Rica. The calls became more frantic. Text after text. Mom, this is really embarrassing. The card isn't working for anything. Jennifer's family is asking questions. Please call me back. I know you're mad, but this is not the time. We need to talk about this like adults. Like adults. That was rich, coming from a man who'd let his wife exclude his own mother from a family vacation. Then a text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Jennifer. We need to talk. This is affecting the children. Affecting the children. The children who thought this was all some wonderful addition to our family vacation, not knowing their grandmother had been deliberately excluded. The children who were probably confused and upset seeing their parents panic over declined credit cards. But it was Jennifer who had chosen to involve the children in this drama. Jennifer who had decided to lie to them, to manipulate them, to use them as weapons against their grandmother. I typed back, "The children are your responsibility. You made that very clear yesterday." My phone rang immediately. The unknown number, Jennifer calling from someone else's phone. I declined the call. Another text, "Maggie, this is not about you and me. The kids are scared and confused. David is having a panic attack. Just fix the card and we'll deal with this later." Fix the card. As if I were some customer service representative they could order around. As if their panic and confusion were my responsibility when they'd created this entire situation. I looked at the flight tracker. Their connecting flight to Costa Rica was boarding in 20 minutes. My phone rang again. Then again. David was calling from different phones now. Probably borrowing from Jennifer's family members, all of whom were witnessing this spectacular meltdown in the middle of Mexico City International Airport. I could picture it. David, sweating and shaking, trying to explain to Jennifer's parents why the card wasn't working. Jennifer, probably furious and humiliated, having to admit to her family that she'd excluded the woman who was paying for everything. Emma and Jake, wide-eyed and scared, not understanding why their parents were fighting in a foreign airport. For a moment, I wavered. The thought of my grandchildren scared and confused made my chest tight with guilt. But then I remembered Jennifer's Instagram posts. Her careful planning. Her smug satisfaction as she orchestrated my exclusion while taking my money. The weeks of lies and manipulation. No, they'd made this bed. They could lie in it. Another text from Jennifer. "We're about to miss our connecting flight. My parents had to pay for drinks and food. This is humiliating." Humiliating. Good. Maybe a little humiliation would teach them the value of honesty. The value of family. The value of not biting the hand that feeds you. The last text came through just as their boarding was scheduled to close. "Mom, I know you're getting these. Please. For Emma and Jake. Fix this. For Emma and Jake." The same children Jennifer had decided shouldn't spend time with their grandmother. The same children she'd lied to about this trip. The same children she was now using as emotional blackmail. Wanting to see what would happen next? Subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. I turned off my phone and closed my laptop. They'd figure it out. Jennifer's family had money. They could cover the resort expenses. Or maybe this would teach David to grow a spine and stand up for his own mother. Maybe this would show Jennifer that actions have consequences. Or maybe they'd all hate me forever. Either way, I was done being their doormat. Done being taken for granted. Done being discarded whenever convenient. They wanted immediate family only? They'd gotten exactly what they asked for. Wanting to see what would happen next? Subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Sunday morning arrived with the kind of silence that only comes from a house that should be full of laughter but isn't. I should have been waking up in a luxury resort suite, planning which restaurant to try for breakfast, deciding between the beach and the pool. Instead, I was sitting in my robe at my kitchen table, staring at my phone and wondering if I'd made a terrible mistake. I'd turned my phone back on an hour ago. 17 missed calls. 43 text messages. Most from David, a few from Jennifer, and one voice message from a number I didn't recognize. I listened to that one first. "Mrs. Rodriguez, this is Carol Winters, Jennifer's mother." The voice was tight, controlled, with an edge of barely contained fury. "I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but you've ruined what was supposed to be a wonderful family vacation. My husband and I have had to put thousands of dollars on our credit cards to cover expenses you were supposed to handle. I suggest you call Jennifer immediately and resolve this situation before it gets worse." Before it got worse. As if anything could be worse than finding out your own son would rather side with his manipulative wife than defend his mother. I deleted the message without saving it. The texts from David were a progression of panic. "Mom, we made it to Costa Rica, but there are serious problems. The resort says our package only covers rooms and nothing else. No meals, no activities, nothing. Everything here costs a fortune. Jennifer's dad had to pay $200 just for lunch for all of us. Please call me back. This is a nightmare. Everyone is asking questions, and I don't know what to tell them." I scrolled through them all, feeling a mixture of satisfaction and guilt. They were getting exactly what they'd asked for, a family vacation without me. Of course, they were also getting it without my money, which was apparently the part they'd failed to consider. The texts from Jennifer were fewer but more cutting. You are being incredibly childish. This is affecting innocent people. My parents don't deserve to be punished for our disagreement. The children are asking questions. Fix this now. I was about to put my phone down when a new message popped up. Instagram notification. I almost ignored it, probably some spam or ad, but something made me open it. It was a message from Emma. Abuela, are you there? I need to talk to you. My heart jumped. I opened Instagram and saw that Emma was active, the little green dot showing she was online. I clicked on her message thread. Hi Mija. I'm here. The response came immediately. Thank God. Abuela, I'm so confused. Where are you? Dad said you couldn't come at the last minute, but that doesn't make sense. I stared at the screen, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. What could I tell her? That her parents had lied to her? That they'd excluded me from the trip I'd planned and paid for? It's complicated, sweetheart. No, it's not. Mom and Dad are lying about something. They've been fighting since we got to the airport yesterday, and it's gotten worse since we got here. Mom's family keeps asking Dad questions, and he looks like he's going to throw up. Despite everything, I almost smiled. Emma had always been perceptive, even as a small child. She could spot adult nonsense from a mile away. What kind of questions? About money. About why the credit card doesn't work. About why you're not here. Grandma Carol pulled Mom aside this morning, and they had a huge fight. I heard her say something about embarrassing and irresponsible. I could picture it. Jennifer's mother, who'd probably been bragging to her friends about the luxury Costa Rica vacation, now having to foot the bill for a trip she'd expected to be free. Jennifer, realizing that cutting me out meant cutting out my financial support as well. Where are you right now? Hiding in the bathroom. This place is beautiful, but everything costs so much money. Like $15 for a Coke. Dad looked at the menu for dinner last night and went white. We ended up eating gas station sandwiches in our room. Gas station sandwiches at a luxury resort. The image would have been funny if it weren't so sad. I'm sorry you're having a hard time, Emma. Abuela, I need to tell you something. I never wanted you to not come. When Mom told us you couldn't make it, I cried. Jake cried too. We wanted you here. This whole thing feels wrong. My chest tightened. The children had wanted me there. Of course they had. We were close, Emma and Jake and I. We had a relationship that Jennifer couldn't understand or control, and that threatened her. I wanted to be there too, Mija. More than anything. Then why aren't you? And don't say it's complicated. I'm 16, not 6. I can handle the truth. I took a deep breath and typed carefully. Your parents decided it would be better if I didn't come. They wanted it to be just your nuclear family and your mother's family. The 3 dots showed she was typing for a long time. Then, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You are our family. You're Dad's mom. You're our grandmother. What the hell is wrong with them? Emma language. Sorry, Abuela, but I'm really mad. This is your trip. You planned everything. You've been talking about it for months. And they just didn't invite you? Something like that. This is so messed up. And now everyone is miserable because we can't afford to do anything. Mom's sister keeps complaining about how this isn't what was promised, and Mom looks like she wants to disappear. I felt a stab of guilt. Whatever else Jennifer had done, she was still my granddaughter's mother. And Emma was clearly distressed by all the family drama. I'm sorry you're in the middle of this, sweetheart. It's not your fault. But Abuela, I have an idea. I've been working at the frozen yogurt place since school started, remember? I've been saving up for a car, but I have like $800 saved. What if I helped pay for some stuff here? Would that help? My heart broke a little. Sweet Emma, trying to fix the mess the adults had made with her part-time job money. Absolutely not. You keep that money for your car. But I want to help. Everyone is so stressed and Jake is scared because Mom and Dad keep fighting. Last night Jake asked me if they were going to get divorced. That hit me like a punch to the stomach. Jake, my sweet 12-year-old grandson, worried about his parents' marriage falling apart in the middle of what should have been a dream vacation. Tell Jake that people sometimes fight when they're stressed, but that doesn't mean they don't love each other or him. I already did. But Abuela, this is bad. Like really bad. Dad keeps trying to call you, and when you don't answer, he gets more upset. Mom keeps snapping at everyone. Grandma Carol and Grandpa Bill are talking about changing their flights to come home early. So Jennifer's parents were ready to bail. They'd probably never imagined they'd be covering the costs for a luxury vacation when they'd expected it to be a free ride. Are you okay? Are you safe? Yeah, we're safe. just stuck in the most expensive place on earth with no money. The kids' club costs $75 per day per kid. The dolphin tour you wanted to book for us? $300 per person. We can't afford anything. I remembered researching those activities so carefully, reading reviews, making sure everything would be perfect for the grandchildren I'd thought I'd be traveling with. What are your parents saying about all this? Dad keeps saying he's going to figure it out, but I can tell he has no idea what to do. Mom is acting like this is all his fault, which is weird because usually she makes all the decisions. And now her family is mad at both of them. Mad about what specifically? About not being told that you were paying for everything. Apparently Mom told them that you and Dad were splitting the costs or something. They had no idea they were supposed to cover their own expenses here. Grandpa Bill said something this morning about being misled, and Grandma Carol used a word I can't repeat. So Jennifer hadn't just excluded me and lied to the children. She'd also lied to her own family about the financial arrangements. They'd come expecting a free vacation and found themselves stuck with enormous bills in one of the most expensive resorts in Costa Rica. The web of lies was unraveling, and everyone was getting caught in it. Emma, I need you to promise me something. What? Don't use your money to try to fix this. This is not your responsibility. You're a child. The adults need to figure this out. But everyone is so miserable. And it's stupid because this place really is amazing. The beach is incredible, and there are monkeys everywhere, and the pools are like something from a movie. We should all be having the best time ever. You should be. And I'm sorry you're not. I wish you were here. Everything would be better if you were here. I had to close my eyes and take a deep breath before responding. I wish I was there too, Mija. More than you know. Is there any way you could come? Like, get on a plane today? I know it would be expensive, but maybe we could all pitch in and… Emma, no. Your parents made their choice. I'm not going to insert myself where I'm not wanted. But you are wanted. At least by me and Jake. We want you here. I know, sweetheart. And that means everything to me. But this is between your parents and me. A pause. Then, this is all Mom's fault, isn't it? I hesitated. I didn't want to poison Emma against her mother, no matter what Jennifer had done to me. But I also couldn't bring myself to lie to protect the woman who had orchestrated this entire disaster. It's complicated, Emma. Your mom and I see things differently. She doesn't like you. I've noticed. She gets all weird and fake whenever you're around, and she's always making excuses when you want to visit. Sharp girl, my Emma. Too sharp for her own good sometimes. Your mom loves you and Jake. That's what matters. But she should love you too. Your family. And you've always been so good to us. Before I could respond, another message popped up. I have to go. Dad is calling a family meeting. He looks terrible. I'll message you later if I can. Be careful, Mija. And remember, none of this is your fault. I love you, Abuela. I love you too, sweetheart. So much. Emma went offline, leaving me staring at my phone in the quiet kitchen. My granddaughter was stuck in paradise, watching her family fall apart over money and lies and manipulation. The vacation I'd dreamed of sharing with them had turned into a nightmare for everyone involved. I made myself a fresh cup of coffee and sat back down at the table. Part of me wanted to call the bank right now, unfreeze the credit card, and fix this mess. Let them enjoy the vacation, even if I couldn't be part of it. But another part of me, the part that had been hurt and humiliated and cast aside, wanted them to sit in the consequences of their choices. Jennifer had wanted to exclude me? Fine. But she couldn't exclude me and keep my money too. My phone buzzed with another text from David. Mom, please. I'm begging you. I know what we did was wrong, but Emma and Jake don't deserve this. Jennifer's family is talking about leaving, and the kids are upset and confused. I'll do anything to make this right. Anything to make this right. Anything except stand up to his wife. Anything except defend his mother. Anything except take responsibility for the choice he'd made to side with Jennifer over the woman who'd raised him. I set my phone aside and walked to the window, looking out at my garden where Roberto's roses were blooming despite my neglect. He would have known what to do. Roberto always knew how to handle family drama, how to be firm but fair, how to protect what mattered without destroying everything else. But Roberto wasn't here. And I was on my own, trying to figure out how to navigate this disaster I'd helped create. In Costa Rica, my family was learning that paradise wasn't free, and neither was taking me for granted. The question was, how long was I willing to let them suffer for that lesson? Monday morning brought rain to Houston, the kind of steady drizzle that made everything look gray and sad. I'd spent most of Sunday staring at my phone, waiting for another message from Emma, trying to decide whether I should unfreeze the credit card or let them figure it out on their own. I was making my third cup of coffee when my phone buzzed with an Instagram notification. Abuela, are you awake? I opened the app immediately. Yes, Mija. How are you? Everything is worse. So much worse. Can I call you? I can't type all of this. My heart rate picked up. Of course. But be careful. Are your parents around? They're all at another emergency family meeting by the pool. I told them I had cramps and stayed in the room. I'm going to call you from the bathroom with the fan on so they can't hear. 2 minutes later, my phone rang. Emma's number. Abuela. Her voice was small, strained. I'm here, sweetheart. What's happening? Everything is falling apart. I could hear her crying. There was this huge fight last night. Grandma Carol and Mom were screaming at each other, and Grandpa Bill said some really mean things to Dad, and Jake locked himself in the bathroom and wouldn't come out. Oh, honey. I'm so sorry. But that's not even the worst part. She took a shaky breath. Abuela, I found out why Mom has been so weird about money and why she didn't want you to come. Dad lost his job. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? 3 months ago. He got fired from the engineering firm. But he never told anyone. Not even you. Mom made him promise not to tell anyone because she said it would be embarrassing. I sat down hard in my kitchen chair. David unemployed for 3 months, and I had no idea. My son, struggling, probably scared, ashamed, and his wife had forbidden him from reaching out to the one person who would have helped without question. How did you find out? I heard Grandpa Bill yelling at Dad last night. He said something like, "How could you let us come on this expensive trip when you don't even have a job?" And then Dad broke down and told everyone the truth. Oh, Emma. It gets worse, Abuela. They're behind on their mortgage. Like really behind. The bank sent them a letter about foreclosure. Foreclosure. My son was about to lose his house, and I'd been completely in the dark. Jennifer had been living in desperation, watching their world fall apart, and instead of asking for help, she'd decided to exclude me from the family while taking my money for a vacation they couldn't afford. That's why Mom wanted this trip so bad, Emma continued. She kept saying they deserved a vacation before everything went to hell. She said it was the last good thing they'd be able to do as a family for a long time. The pieces were falling into place. Jennifer's aggressive behavior, her insistence on excluding me while keeping my financial support, her lies to her own family. She hadn't just been manipulative, she'd been desperate. And Abuela, there's something else. Something really bad. What is it, sweetheart? Emma's voice dropped to a whisper. Remember how you always send us money for birthdays and Christmas? In those cards with the funny pictures? Of course. I sent each child $50 for birthdays, $100 for Christmas, always in cash tucked into cards I chose carefully. Did you not get them this year? We never get them. Any of them. Mom always says you forgot us or that you're getting too old to remember birthdays. The room started spinning. What? Jake and I were talking last night after all the fighting, and we realized we haven't gotten birthday money from you in over 2 years. But you wouldn't forget us, would you? You've never forgotten anything important. My hands were shaking, so hard I nearly dropped the phone. Emma, I've sent you both money every birthday and Christmas for your entire lives. This past Christmas alone, I sent each of you $100. Silence. Then, quietly, Mom's been taking it. She's been what? Taking the money, keeping it, and telling us you forgot about us. Emma's voice was getting stronger, anger replacing the tears. She made us think you didn't care enough to remember our birthdays. I felt like I was falling down a deep, dark hole. Not only had Jennifer been stealing from my grandchildren, she'd been systematically destroying their relationship with me, making them think I didn't care, that I was the kind of grandmother who forgot birthdays and stopped showing love. How much, Emma? How much has she taken? I don't know exactly, but Jake and I did some math. If you send us money every birthday and Christmas since we were little, it's got to be thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars. Money I'd sent with love, money meant to make my grandchildren smile, money that Jennifer had stolen to fund whatever she'd been spending it on while letting my grandchildren think I'd abandoned them. Does your father know about this? I don't think so. When Jake asked him last Christmas why you didn't send us anything, Dad looked really confused. He said he was sure you had, and that maybe the mail got mixed up. Of course David would have been confused. He knew me better than that. But he'd probably trusted Jennifer to handle the mail, never imagining his wife was capable of something so cruel. Emma, I need you to know something. I have never, not once, forgotten your birthday or Jake's. I love you both more than anything in this world, and I would never stop showing you that love. I know that now. But for the longest time, I thought maybe you were mad at us about something. Or that you just didn't care as much after Grandpa Roberto died. The knife twisted deeper. My grandchildren had spent 2 years thinking I'd emotionally abandoned them after their grandfather's death, when in reality I'd been trying harder than ever to show them love. Every card I'd sent, every dollar I'd tucked inside, every birthday wish, all of it stolen and twisted into evidence of my supposed neglect. I'm going to kill her, I said, surprising myself with the venom in my voice. Abuela. Not literally, sweetheart. But I am very, very angry. You should be. Jake is going to be so upset when I tell him. He cried on his birthday this year because he thought you forgot about him turning 12. I had to put the phone down for a moment and press my hands to my eyes. Jake, my sweet Jake, crying because he thought his grandmother had forgotten the most important day of his year. When in reality, I'd not only remembered, I'd sent him a card with a funny picture of a dog wearing a birthday hat and a crisp $50 bill tucked inside with a note telling him how proud I was of the young man he was becoming. Abuela? Are you still there? I'm here, baby. I'm just processing all of this. There's more. More. How could there possibly be more? What else, Emma? I think Mom has been reading your texts and emails too. Last month when you texted Dad about wanting to take us to that new trampoline place, he never mentioned it to us. But then I saw Mom delete something from his phone when she thought no one was looking. So Jennifer had been intercepting my communications too. No wonder my invitations to spend time with the grandchildren had been ignored or deflected. No wonder David always seemed confused when I mentioned plans we'd discussed. Jennifer had been acting as a gatekeeper, controlling every interaction between me and my family. This is why she didn't want you on the trip, Emma continued. She was scared you'd find out about Dad's job, about the money problems, about the cards. She's been lying about everything for so long, she couldn't risk you being around to see the truth. The vacation hadn't just been about excluding me for the sake of excluding me. It had been about covering up months of lies and theft. Jennifer had needed David away from me, needed to maintain the illusion that everything was fine while she stole from my grandchildren and sabotaged our relationship. Emma, I need to ask you something important. Are you and Jake safe? I mean, really safe? Your mother has been lying about serious things. We're safe. I mean, she's never hurt us or anything. She just controls everything. What we do, who we see, what Dad tells people. She even made Dad cancel your visit last month by telling him we had plans, but we didn't have any plans. Another lie. Another manipulation. I'd been looking forward to that visit for weeks, and Jennifer had simply erased it from existence. And now everyone knows the truth about the money, and Mom's family is furious. Grandpa Bill said he's never been so embarrassed in his life. Grandma Carol called Mom manipulative and dishonest right in front of everyone. What did your father say? He just sat there. He looks broken, Abuela. Like really broken. I think he's finally seeing what Mom has been doing, but he doesn't know how to fix it. My heart ached for my son. David had always been conflict averse, always tried to keep the peace. Jennifer had taken advantage of that, using his desire for harmony to isolate him from his own mother and manipulate their entire family dynamic. Abuela, I have to ask you something. What is it? Are you going to help us? I know Mom did terrible things, and I know she hurt you really bad. But Dad is trying to find work, and they're scared we're going to lose our house. And Jake doesn't understand why everyone is so angry all the time. The question I'd been dreading. Emma was asking me to rescue the people who had betrayed me, stolen from me, excluded me. She was asking me to save the family that had treated me like an unwanted stranger. But she was also asking me to save my son, who was too ashamed to ask for help himself. To save my grandchildren, who were innocent victims in Jennifer's web of lies. To save the family that, despite everything, I still loved. I don't know yet, sweetheart. I need to think about all of this. I understand. But Abuela, whatever you decide, Jake and I want you to know that we love you. We've always loved you. Even when we thought you forgot about us, we still loved you. I love you too, Emma. Both of you. More than you'll ever know. I have to go. I can hear them coming back from their meeting. But I'll message you later, okay? Okay. Be careful, Mija. After Emma hung up, I sat in my kitchen in the gray morning light, trying to process everything she'd told me. The job loss. The foreclosure. The stolen birthday money. The intercepted communications. The systematic isolation Jennifer had orchestrated. It was worse than I'd imagined. So much worse. Jennifer hadn't just excluded me from a vacation. She'd been waging a calculated campaign to erase me from my grandchildren's lives while stealing from them and lying to everyone about our family's financial reality. And David, my son, had been drowning in shame and desperation, too proud or too controlled to reach out to the one person who would have helped him without judgment. I understood now why Jennifer had been so desperate to keep me away from this trip. It wasn't just about family dynamics or control issues. It was about survival. She'd been trying to hold her world together with lies and stolen money, and my presence would have exposed everything. But understanding didn't mean forgiving. And it certainly didn't mean forgetting that she'd made my grandchildren cry on their birthdays, thinking their grandmother had stopped loving them. The question was, what was I going to do about it? I walked to my laptop and opened my banking app, staring at the account management screen. I could unfreeze the credit card with a few clicks. Send them money, save their vacation, and more importantly, help them save their house. Or I could let them sit in the consequences of their choices and figure out their own way out of the mess they'd created. My phone buzzed with a text from David. Mom, I know you're angry, but Emma and Jake need stability right now. Whatever happens between us, please don't let the kids suffer for our mistakes. Our mistakes. Finally, he was admitting that choices had been made. That wasn't just Jennifer's doing. It was his too, for letting it happen, for choosing his wife's lies over his mother's love. I stared at the message for a long time, thinking about Emma's tears, about Jake locking himself in a bathroom, about birthday cards that never made it to the children they were meant for. Then I started typing. I stared at David's text for 10 minutes before I knew what I had to do. I'll be there tomorrow. I hit send before I could change my mind, then immediately opened my laptop and pulled up flight booking websites. There was something satisfying about the decisive click of the keys as I searched for flights from Houston to San Jose, Costa Rica. Departing today, if possible. The irony wasn't lost on me. I was about to spend nearly $2,000 on a last-minute flight to join a vacation I'd already paid $18,000 for, been excluded from, and financially sabotaged. But this wasn't about the money anymore. It wasn't even about the vacation. This was about my grandchildren thinking I didn't love them. This was about years of lies and manipulation that had poisoned my relationship with my family. This was about confronting Jennifer face to face and making sure she understood that her reign of control was over. My phone rang immediately. David. Mom, what do you mean you'll be there tomorrow? Exactly what I said. I'm booking a flight. We need to talk and we're going to do it in person. Mom, you can't just, this isn't a good time. Everyone's upset, and Jennifer's family is already angry about the money situation. David. My voice was steel. I'm coming. You can either tell them I'm coming, or I can be a surprise. Your choice. A long pause. Are you going to unfreeze the credit card? We'll discuss that when I get there. Mom, please. You don't understand how bad things are here. Jennifer's barely speaking to me, her parents think I'm a complete failure, and the kids are miserable. Oh, I understand exactly how bad things are. Emma told me about your job, about the house, about the birthday money Jennifer stole from my grandchildren. Silence. Then, quietly. She told you about the birthday money? She told me everything, David. Every lie, every manipulation, every time Jennifer made my grandchildren think I'd forgotten them. My voice broke slightly. Jake cried on his birthday because he thought I didn't care enough to remember he turned 12. Mom, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know about the money. If I had. If you had known, you would have what? Stood up to your wife? Defended your mother? Protected your children from her lies? The words came out harsher than I intended, but I was past caring about David's feelings. You've been letting her control your family for years, and now look where it's gotten you. I know, okay? I've screwed everything up. But coming here won't fix anything. It'll just make everything worse. David, things can't get much worse. You're unemployed, facing foreclosure, your wife has been stealing from your children, and you're stuck in Costa Rica with no money and a family that hates you. What exactly am I going to make worse? Another long pause. When will you be here? My flight lands at 8 p.m. tomorrow. I'll get my own room. Mom. David, I love you. But I'm not coming to rescue you. I'm coming to fix what your wife broke. There's a difference. I hung up and continued booking my flight. Business class, because if I was going to fly 16 hours to confront my son's manipulative wife, I was going to do it in comfort. The flight left Houston at 6 a.m., connected through Mexico City, and would put me in San Jose by evening. As I entered my credit card information, my phone buzzed with an Instagram message from Emma. Abuela, did you really say you're coming here? Yes, Mija. I'll be there tomorrow night. OMG, yes. Jake is so excited he can't sit still. But abuela, things are really bad here. Mom's family is barely speaking to Dad, and Mom looks like she wants to disappear. What's happening right now? They're all sitting by the pool having another discussion about money. Jake and I told them we weren't coming. We're done pretending everything is fine. I smiled for the first time in days. My grandchildren were staging a rebellion. Good for you. Stay strong, sweetheart. I'll see you tomorrow. I can't wait. I've missed you so much. I've missed you too. More than you know. The flight to Costa Rica was long, bumpy, and gave me plenty of time to think about what I was going to say when I got there. By the time we touched down in San Jose, I had mentally rehearsed 17 different conversations with Jennifer, most of them ending with her in tears. The resort was everything the brochures had promised: lush gardens, stunning ocean views, luxury accommodations that probably cost more per night than most people made in a week. As my taxi pulled up to the entrance, I could see why Jennifer's family had been so excited about this free vacation. Too bad for them it wasn't free after all. I checked in at the front desk, noting the way the staff's eyes lit up when I mentioned I was joining the Rodriguez party. Probably hoping I was there to settle the outstanding bills that had been accumulating since their credit card stopped working. "Mrs. Rodriguez, how wonderful that you could join your family," the desk clerk said with practiced enthusiasm. "Your son mentioned you might be coming. Shall I call his room to let him know you've arrived?" "That won't be necessary. I'll surprise them." My room was on the 3rd floor, with a balcony overlooking the pool area. As I unpacked my hastily thrown-together suitcase, I could see groups of guests enjoying the evening, families laughing over dinner, couples sharing drinks as the sun set over the Pacific. And there, at a table near the edge of the pool area, was my family. I could see David's slumped shoulders, Jennifer sitting rigid with her arms crossed, her parents looking uncomfortable and annoyed. Emma and Jake were nowhere to be seen, probably back in their room after their rebellion. I changed into a simple sundress and sandals, touched up my lipstick, and headed for the elevator. It was time. But as the elevator doors opened on the ground floor, I nearly walked straight into a woman I recognized from family photos. "Excuse me," she said, then stopped. "Oh my God, you're Margaret, aren't you? David's mother? Carol Winters. Jennifer's mother. The woman whose vacation I'd been indirectly funding while being excluded from it." "I am." I straightened my shoulders, prepared for confrontation. But Carol's face didn't show anger or defensiveness. She looked relieved. "Thank God you're here," she said quietly. "We need to talk." I blinked. "We do?" "Yes. Right now, if possible. Before I have to go back out there and pretend this whole situation is normal." She gestured toward the pool area. "Is there somewhere we can go?" "The bar." This was not the conversation I'd expected to have. But something in Carol's expression, desperation mixed with embarrassment, made me nod. "Lead the way." The resort bar was dimly lit and mostly empty, with soft jazz playing and the sound of waves in the distance. Carol ordered a wine that probably cost more than most bottles at the grocery store. I ordered a gin and tonic, figuring I'd need something strong for whatever was coming. "I owe you an apology," Carol said as soon as our drinks arrived. "Several apologies, actually." "I'm listening." "First, I had no idea that you were paying for this entire trip. Jennifer told us that you and David were splitting the costs, and that you'd decided not to come at the last minute due to a health issue." "A health issue?" Another lie to add to Jennifer's collection. "I see. When we got here and David's credit card stopped working, and then all this came out about his job and the money problems." Carol shook her head. "I've never been so embarrassed in my life. My husband wanted to change our flights and leave immediately. Why didn't you?" Carol looked into her wine glass. "Because of what Emma told me today." "What did Emma tell you?" "About the birthday money. About the cards you've been sending that Jennifer." Intercepted. Carol's voice was barely above a whisper. "And about how the children thought you'd forgotten them." I felt my chest tighten. "You knew about that?" "Not until today. But Margaret, I need to tell you something. This isn't the first time Jennifer has done something like this." I set down my drink. "What do you mean?" Carol looked around the bar, as if checking for listeners, then leaned forward. "Jennifer was married before David. Did you know that?" I knew she'd been married before, but not much about it. Her first husband, Michael, had a wonderful family. Close-knit, loving, very involved with Jennifer and their daughter, my oldest granddaughter, Sarah. I nodded, remembering Jennifer mentioning a daughter from her first marriage who lived with her father. Jennifer started creating problems almost immediately. She didn't like how much time Michael spent with his family. She thought they were too involved, too opinionated. She started making excuses for why they couldn't visit, why Sarah couldn't spend time with her paternal grandparents. My blood began to run cold. It escalated over time. She intercepted phone calls, made up stories about things Michael's family had supposedly said or done. She convinced Michael that his family didn't really approve of her, that they were trying to undermine their marriage. What happened? Michael finally chose Jennifer over his family. Cut them off completely. His parents, Sarah's grandparents, went from seeing their granddaughter every week to maybe twice a year, supervised visits only. Carol's voice was heavy with regret. The marriage didn't last anyway. When they divorced, Michael realized what Jennifer had done, but it was too late. His relationship with his family was destroyed. I stared at her. And you've watched her do the same thing to my family? I didn't realize it at first. Jennifer always had explanations for why you couldn't visit, why plans got canceled, why you seemed distant from the children. She made it sound like you were the problem, that you were judgmental, controlling, interfering. But you believed her. Carol nodded miserably. I did. I wanted to believe her, because it's easier to think your daughter is the victim rather than the villain. But seeing this situation, seeing how desperate David looks, seeing those children miss their grandmother, she met my eyes. I can't pretend anymore. Why are you telling me this? Because I think you're the only person who can save this family. Jennifer has David so twisted around that he can't see straight. She's isolated him from you, lied to the children, created this whole fantasy where she's the perfect mother and wife while everyone else is the problem. I took a long sip of my gin and tonic, processing this information. Jennifer's behavior wasn't just about me. It was a pattern. She'd destroyed one family's relationships and was well on her way to destroying another. What do you want me to do about it? I don't know. But I know that sitting by and letting this continue isn't an option. Those children need their grandmother. David needs his mother. And Jennifer needs to face consequences for what she's done. Even if it means going against your own daughter? Carol's eyes filled with tears. Especially because of that. I failed to protect Michael's family from Jennifer's manipulation. I'm not going to fail to protect yours. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of her words settling between us. Jennifer's own mother, admitting that her daughter was manipulative and destructive, offering to help me fight against the woman who had stolen from my grandchildren and poisoned their minds against me. There's something else, Carol said quietly. My husband and I have been talking. We want to cover our portion of the vacation costs. We never intended for you to pay for our trip. That's not necessary. It is necessary. We were complicit in this, even if we didn't know it. And Margaret, if you decide to help David with his financial problems, we want to contribute to that too. Jennifer's lies have cost your family enough. I studied Carol's face, looking for signs of deception or manipulation, traits that apparently ran in the family. But all I saw was genuine remorse and determination. Why should I trust you? You're Jennifer's mother. Because I'm also Emma and Jake's grandmother. And I've watched them suffer enough because of the lies my daughter tells. She reached across the table and touched my hand. I can't undo the damage Jennifer has done to your relationship with your son. But maybe together we can keep her from doing any more damage to those children. I looked toward the pool area, where I could see my family still sitting in tense silence. David, the son I'd raised to be better than this. Jennifer, the woman who had systematically destroyed my place in my grandchildren's lives. Emma and Jake, innocent victims of adult games and lies. What exactly are you proposing? Carol's expression hardened with resolve. A united front. Jennifer has counted on keeping everyone divided, confused, fighting each other instead of fighting her. But if we work together, you, me, David, when he finally opens his eyes, she can't control the narrative anymore. The battle lines were shifting. The enemy of my enemy and all that. I finished my gin and tonic and stood up. Let's go talk to your daughter. Carol smiled for the first time since we'd sat down. Let's. As we walked toward the pool area, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Hope. Not hope for reconciliation or forgiveness. Jennifer had burned those bridges with her lies and theft. But hope for justice. Hope for truth. Hope for my grandchildren to finally understand that their grandmother had never, not once, forgotten how much she loved them. Jennifer was about to learn that she'd made a crucial mistake. She'd underestimated the power of a grandmother's love. And now, she was about to face an alliance she'd never seen coming. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Walking across the resort pool deck with Carol beside me felt surreal, like I was in someone else's life. The evening was perfect, warm breeze, the sound of waves in the distance, fairy lights twinkling around the bar area. It should have been peaceful. Instead, it felt like walking toward a battlefield. My family sat at a table near the edge of the pool area, and the tension was visible from 50 feet away. David's shoulders were hunched, his hands clasped so tightly in front of him that his knuckles were white. Jennifer sat ramrod straight, her face a mask of controlled fury. Her father, Bill, looked like a man who'd rather be anywhere else in the world, checking his phone every few seconds. And there, at a table nearby, were my grandchildren. Emma saw me first. Her face lit up like Christmas morning, and she practically launched herself out of her chair. "Abuela," she called out, loud enough that half the pool area turned to look. The reaction at the adult table was immediate and electric. David's head snapped up, his expression cycling through surprise, relief, and panic in the span of seconds. Jennifer went pale, then flushed red. Bill looked confused, clearly wondering who this woman was that had just made his granddaughter so happy. "Oh my God, you actually came," Emma said, throwing her arms around me in a hug that squeezed the breath from my lungs. "I can't believe you're really here." Jake appeared at my other side, more reserved but smiling shyly. "Hi, Abuela. I missed you. I missed you too, sweet boy." I hugged them both, breathing in the familiar scent of their sun-warmed hair, feeling my heart piece itself back together just a little. Whatever else happened tonight, this moment was worth the $2,000 flight. "Margaret." David had stood up, his voice uncertain. You said tomorrow night." I caught an earlier connection. I kept my voice neutral, professional. The voice I'd used with difficult parents during parent-teacher conferences. Carol and I were just having a drink and getting acquainted. Jennifer's eyes darted between her mother and me, and I could see the moment she realized something had shifted. Something she hadn't planned for or controlled. "Mom!" Jennifer's voice was tight. "What's going on?" Carol took a deep breath and moved to stand beside me, a united front. "We need to talk, Jennifer. All of us. About the lies. About the money. About what you've been doing to this family." "What I've been doing?" Jennifer's voice rose an octave. "I'm not the one who sabotaged our vacation and left us stranded here with no money." "No," I said calmly. "You're the one who excluded the person paying for the vacation while lying to your own family about who was covering the costs. You're the one who's been stealing birthday money from your children and making them think their grandmother forgot about them." The pool area had gone quiet around us. Other guests were pretending not to listen while clearly hanging on every word. "That's not what happened," Jennifer said, but her voice lacked conviction. "You don't understand the situation. You don't understand the pressure we've been under." "Then explain it to me." I pulled out a chair and sat down, making it clear I wasn't going anywhere. "Explain why my son lost his job 3 months ago and I had no idea. Explain why you're facing foreclosure, and no one thought to mention it. Explain why my grandchildren spent 2 years thinking I'd stopped loving them." David had gone gray. "Mom, please. Not here. Not in front of everyone." "David, your wife made sure this became public the moment she decided to exclude me while keeping my money. You don't get to ask for privacy now." Jennifer was looking around wildly, as if searching for an escape route. "This is ridiculous. David, tell her this isn't the place for this discussion." "Actually," Carol said quietly, "I think this is exactly the place. No more secrets, Jennifer. No more lies. These children deserve to know the truth, and so does Margaret." "Mom!" Jennifer's voice cracked. "Whose side are you on?" "I'm on the side of honesty. Something you seem to have forgotten the value of." Bill, who'd been silent through this exchange, finally spoke up. "Would someone please explain what the hell is going on? Who is this woman, and why does our granddaughter act like she hung the moon?" "This is Margaret Rodriguez," Carol said clearly. "David's mother. Emma and Jake's grandmother. The woman who planned and paid for this entire vacation that we were invited to after she was excluded." Bill's face went through several expressions before settling on mortified understanding. "You're the mother-in-law Jennifer said couldn't come because of health issues?" "Health issues?" I looked at Jennifer. "Is that what you told them?" Jennifer's composure was cracking. "I had to tell them something. They were asking questions about why you weren't coming. So you told them I was sick instead of telling them you'd decided to replace me with your family while keeping my money? It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Jennifer?" The calm in my voice seemed to be making her more agitated. "Because from where I sit, it looks like you orchestrated a very calculated betrayal. You want to know what it was like?" Jennifer stood up so fast her chair nearly toppled over. It was like having someone constantly judging every decision I make as a mother. It was like having my children's grandmother undermine my authority every chance she got. It was like being told I was doing everything wrong by someone who raised her son to be so weak he can't even keep a job. The words hit like physical blows. David flinched as if he'd been slapped. "Jennifer," Carol said sharply. "That's enough." "No, it's not enough." Jennifer was shouting now, her careful mask completely gone. "You all want the truth? Fine. Margaret is controlling and manipulative, and she never accepted that David chose me. She's been trying to poison my children against me for years, buying their love with money and presents and special trips that I can't afford to compete with." Emma gasped. "Mom, that's not true." "It is true. She sends you money behind my back. She makes plans without consulting me. She acts like she knows what's best for you better than your own mother." "She sends us money for our birthdays," Jake said, his voice small and confused. "But we never get it. You said she forgot about us." The words hung in the air like a smoking gun. Jennifer froze, realizing what Jake had just revealed in front of everyone. "What does he mean, you never get it?" Bill asked slowly. Carol closed her eyes. "Oh, Jennifer. Please tell me you didn't." "It's not. I can explain." Jennifer's voice was barely a whisper. "Explain what?" David asked, his voice hollow. "Explain why my children think my mother forgot their birthdays? Explain why I've been confused for 2 years about why Mom seemed to be pulling away from the kids. I was protecting them." Jennifer's voice cracked. "I was protecting our family from her interference. By stealing from children?" Carol's voice was ice cold. "By making them think their grandmother didn't love them? I wasn't stealing. I was managing." "You were stealing," I said quietly. "From your own children. Money I sent with love, meant to make them smile on their special days. You took that money and let them think I'd forgotten them." Emma was crying now, and Jake looked like he might be sick. David was staring at his wife like he'd never seen her before. "Jennifer," he said slowly, "how could you do that to them? How could you do that to my mother? Because your mother never respected me. She never accepted that I was your wife, the mother of your children. She acted like I was just some temporary inconvenience in her perfect little family." "That's not true," I said. "I welcomed you. I supported your marriage. I respected your role as their mother, even when I disagreed with your choices. You never respected me. You questioned everything. My parenting, my decisions, my values. You made me feel like an outsider in my own family. And so you decided to make me the outsider instead." Jennifer opened her mouth to respond, then closed it. The fight seemed to drain out of her all at once, leaving her looking small and defeated. "I did what I thought was best for my family," she said quietly. "No," Carol said, standing up. "You did what was best for your ego. Just like you did with Michael's family." Jennifer's head snapped up. "Mom, don't." "Don't what?" "Don't tell the truth about how you destroyed your first husband's relationship with his family? Don't explain how this is a pattern with you." Bill was staring at his daughter like she was a stranger. "Jennifer, what is your mother talking about?" Carol looked around the table, then directly at David. "My daughter has done this before. With her first husband. She systematically isolated him from his family, created conflict and drama until he had to choose between her and them. The marriage didn't last, but the damage to those relationships was permanent." "That was different," Jennifer said desperately. "Michael's family really was interfering." "No, they weren't. Just like Margaret wasn't interfering. You just can't handle sharing the people you love with anyone else." The silence that followed was deafening. Even the other resort guests had stopped pretending not to listen. David buried his face in his hands. "I can't believe this. I can't believe what I've allowed to happen." "David," I said gently, "you were in an impossible situation. But you're not in that situation anymore. The truth is out now." "The truth is out, but everything is ruined," he said without looking up. "My job, our house, my relationship with you, the kids' trust in their mother. Everything is completely destroyed." "Not everything," Carol said quietly. She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. "I brought this with me to help cover vacation expenses. $5,000. She stood up and walked around the table to me. "But I think it should go to someone who actually puts these children first." She placed the envelope in my hands. "You're the only real grandmother these children have. The only one who's been honest with them, who's shown them unconditional love. Take this. Use it however you think is best for Emma and Jake." Jennifer stared at her mother in shock. "Mom, you can't be serious." "I've never been more serious about anything in my life." I looked down at the envelope, then at my family, this broken, complicated, wounded family that I loved despite everything. I have a proposition, I said slowly. For all of you. David finally looked up. What kind of proposition? I'll restore limited access to the credit card. Enough for you to enjoy the rest of your vacation, within reason. When we get home, I'll help with the house situation, not a loan, a gift. But there are conditions. What conditions? Jennifer asked suspiciously. David, you enter financial counseling. Learn how to manage money, how to communicate about finances, how to ask for help when you need it instead of hiding problems until they become crises. David nodded slowly. Okay, I can do that. And Jennifer, you enter family therapy. Not couples counseling, family therapy. With a therapist who specializes in controlling behavior and manipulation. You learn how to share your family instead of hoarding them. Jennifer's face went red. I don't need therapy. I need people to respect my boundaries as a mother. You need to learn the difference between boundaries and walls, Jennifer. Between protecting your family and isolating them. And if I refuse? I met her eyes directly. Then you figure out your financial problems on your own. David can choose whether he wants a relationship with his mother and whether he wants his children to have a relationship with their grandmother. But he makes that choice with full information about what you've done, not based on more lies and manipulation. Emma spoke up for the first time since the confrontation began. Mom, just do the therapy. Please. I want my abuela in my life. I want my family to be honest with each other. Jake nodded vigorously. Yeah, Mom. I don't want any more fighting. Jennifer looked around the table, at her mother's disappointed face, her father's confusion, her husband's exhaustion, her children's pleading expressions. Finally, her gaze landed on me. You really think I'm that terrible, don't you? I think you're a mother who loves her children but has made some very poor choices about how to protect them. I think you can do better if you're willing to try. Jennifer was quiet for a long moment. Then, barely audibly, what kind of therapy? The kind that helps families heal. The kind that teaches healthy communication and respect for everyone's relationships, not just yours. Another long pause. And you'll really help with the house. I'll help David with the house. This marriage is between you and him. I'm not trying to save your marriage, Jennifer. I'm trying to save my relationship with my son and grandchildren. Jennifer looked at David, who was watching her with an expression I couldn't read. Okay, she said finally. Okay, I'll do the therapy. The tension that had been wound so tight around our table began to loosen, just a little. It wasn't forgiveness, we were nowhere near that. But it was a beginning, a chance for truth instead of lies. A chance for my grandchildren to know their grandmother loved them. A chance for my son to learn how to ask for help instead of drowning in shame. It wasn't the reunion vacation I'd dreamed of. But it was something better. A chance to rebuild our family on a foundation of honesty instead of manipulation. And sometimes that's the best gift you can give the people you love. 6 months later, I stood in my kitchen on a Saturday morning in October, watching through the window as David assembled a new patio table in my backyard. He moved with the confidence of a man who'd found his footing again, no longer carrying the weight of hidden shame and financial desperation. The job at Peterson Engineering had come through a former colleague of Roberto's who remembered David from company Christmas parties years ago. Better pay than his previous position, better benefits, and most importantly, a boss who valued honesty and communication over false pride. David had learned to ask questions, to admit when he needed help, to treat setbacks as problems to be solved rather than failures to be hidden. Abuela, where do you want the chairs? Emma called from the back door, arms full of cushions. She'd grown 3 inches since Costa Rica, all legs and elbows now, but her smile was the same, bright and genuine and completely unguarded. Wherever you think looks best, Mija. You have better taste than your old grandmother. She rolled her eyes in that way only 16-year-olds could manage. You're not old and you know it. Mrs. Patterson from down the street asked if you were dating anyone. She said you're quite the catch. I laughed, something that came easier these days. Mrs. Patterson needs to mind her own business. That's what I told her. I said you're too busy spoiling your grandchildren to worry about romance. It was true in a way. The past 6 months had been about rebuilding, about learning new ways to love each other that didn't require walking on eggshells or translating through intermediaries. Emma and Jake came over every other weekend now, sometimes together, sometimes separately, always knowing they were welcome. The birthday money situation had been resolved with military precision. I'd opened a joint account with David, only David, specifically for gifts to the children. Every birthday, every Christmas, every special occasion, the money went directly into their individual savings accounts. No cash that could be managed by anyone else, no opportunity for interception or manipulation. Jennifer had initially resisted this arrangement, calling it excessive and undermining her authority as their mother. But Dr. Sarah Dorge, the family therapist I'd found and insisted on, had been clear. Trust, once broken, had to be rebuilt through actions, not words. Transparency wasn't optional in a family trying to heal. The therapy sessions hadn't been easy. For any of us. I'd attended several family sessions at Dr. Dorge's request, sitting in that neutral beige office while Jennifer worked through years of insecurity and control issues, while David learned to communicate instead of conflict avoiding, while the children expressed hurt and confusion that had been building for years. Jennifer had fought the process initially, defensive and angry, insisting that everyone was ganging up on her. But slowly, grudgingly, she'd begun to understand the difference between protection and possession, between boundaries and barriers. She was still working on it. We all were, but the progress was real. "Mom called this morning," Emma said, arranging the chair cushions with the same meticulous care she'd inherited from her father. She wanted to make sure she could bring the potato salad you like. This was progress. 6 months ago, Jennifer would have insisted on bringing something different, something that proved she didn't need to cater to my preferences. Now she was actively trying to contribute to family gatherings in ways that mattered to me. Small steps, but steps nonetheless. That's thoughtful of her. "She's been trying really hard, you know," Emma said quietly. "The therapy thing. She comes home from sessions all quiet and weird, but then she'll do something different. Like last week when I wanted to call you about my history project, she just said, 'Tell your grandmother I said hi,' instead of finding reasons why I should wait or call later." I nodded, not trusting my voice for a moment. Those small changes, the lack of interference, the absence of manipulation, felt like miracles after years of fighting for scraps of my grandchildren's attention. "I know she's trying, sweetheart. Change is hard work." "Yeah, well, she needed to do the work." Emma's voice carried a sharpness that reminded me she was Roberto's granddaughter as much as mine, direct, uncompromising when it came to fairness. "Jake and I talked about it after Costa Rica. We decided we weren't going to let anyone control who we love anymore. Not even Mom." This was the thing that had surprised everyone, including Jennifer. The children hadn't been the naive pawns their mother had assumed. They'd seen through the manipulation, felt the artificial barriers that had been erected between us, and made their own choices about what they wanted their relationships to look like. Jake's decision to spend 2 weeks with me in July had been the first declaration of independence. Emma's announcement that she wanted to spend the entire summer in Texas, working at the community center's summer camp and living with her grandmother, had been the revolution. "You know," I said carefully, "your mother wasn't wrong about everything. I did have opinions about your upbringing. I did sometimes offer advice when it wasn't asked for." Emma snorted. "Abuela, you suggested Jake read books instead of playing video games for 6 hours straight. That's not interference, that's common sense. But I could have been more diplomatic about it." "Maybe. But Mom could have been less crazy about it too." Emma looked at me seriously. "Dr. Dorge says that healthy families can handle disagreements without making them into wars. Mom's learning that. Dad too." The back door opened and Jake emerged, carrying a platter that was nearly as big as he was. At 13, he was all knees and Adam's apple, but his eyes held a maturity that hurt my heart sometimes. Children shouldn't have to navigate adult dysfunction, shouldn't have to choose sides in battles they didn't start. "Dad says the table's ready," he announced. "And Mom's here with the potato salad. She brought flowers too, which is probably code for 'please don't hate me.'" "I don't hate your mother, Jake." "I know. But she's not sure you know that." He set down the platter and looked at me with Roberto's earnest brown eyes. "Are you happy, Abuela? Like really happy? Because for a while there, after Costa Rica, you seemed sad even when you were smiling." Out of the mouths of babes. Jake had always been perceptive, but the family crisis had sharpened his emotional intelligence in ways that both impressed and worried me. "I'm happy, sweet boy. Happier than I've been in a long time." "Good. Because we like you happy. You make better cookies when you're happy." I laughed and ruffled his hair, still amazed that I could do so freely now, without worrying about crossing invisible lines or threatening anyone's authority. David appeared in the doorway, followed by Jennifer. She carried a bouquet of sunflowers, my favorites, though I wasn't sure if she remembered that or if David had reminded her. Either way, the gesture was appreciated. Margaret, she said, and I could hear the effort in her voice to strike the right tone. Not the forced cheerfulness of the past, not the defensive edge that had characterized our interactions for years, but something approaching genuine warmth. Thank you for having us over. Thank you for coming. We were still formal with each other, still careful, but the carefulness was different now. Not walking on eggshells to avoid triggering her anger, but walking carefully to avoid damaging something fragile that was trying to grow. How's the new job, David? I asked as we all moved toward the backyard. Really good. Really, really good. His smile was uncomplicated now, free of the constant worry that had shadowed his face for months. My supervisor wants me to take the lead on the Henderson project. It's a big account, could mean a promotion by Christmas. That's wonderful, honey. I couldn't have done it without your help with the interview process. And the networking. Mr. Castellanos said Roberto always spoke highly of my work ethic. Roberto's influence, reaching across the years to help our son when he needed it most. I'd introduced David to several of Roberto's former colleagues after the Costa Rica disaster, not as charity, but as legitimate networking. David's skills had done the rest. We settled around the new patio table, the October sunshine warm but not oppressive, the garden showing off its autumn colors. Jennifer arranged the flowers in a vase she'd brought, and I noticed she'd chosen sunflowers in a blue ceramic container that matched my outdoor dishes. Small details, but thoughtful ones. So, David said, opening a beer and relaxing in a way I hadn't seen in years. Emma has news. Emma grinned. I got into the summer internship program at UT. The one for high school students interested in social work. Emma, that's fantastic. I reached over to squeeze her hand. You'll be amazing at that. It means I'll be in Austin for 6 weeks next summer. Close enough to visit you on weekends, if that's okay. It's more than okay. It's perfect. Jennifer shifted in her chair, and I could see the old instincts warring with the new understanding. The urge to control, to manage, to find reasons why this arrangement might not work. But she took a visible breath and smiled instead. I'm proud of you, Emma. You worked really hard for this opportunity. Progress. 6 months ago, Jennifer would have found a dozen reasons why the internship was problematic, why Emma shouldn't be so far from home, why spending weekends with her grandmother was excessive. Now she was actively supporting Emma's choices, even when those choices meant less time under Jennifer's direct influence. There's something else, I said, reaching for the folder I'd placed on the patio table earlier. Something I wanted to discuss with all of you. I pulled out the paperwork I'd had my lawyer prepare, documents that represented months of careful planning and considerable soul-searching. I've established college funds for both Emma and Jake. Equal amounts, invested conservatively, managed by a financial advisor I trust completely. David leaned forward. Mom, you don't have to. I want to. This isn't charity, it's investment in my grandchildren's futures. But there are conditions. Jennifer tensed slightly, and I could see her wondering what strings might be attached, what control I might be trying to exert. The funds can only be used for education, college, trade school, graduate school, whatever path they choose. The children will have access to the account information when they turn 18, but no one else will have any control over the money. Not parents, not guardians, not anyone. What if there's an emergency? Jennifer asked carefully. Then we handle emergencies like a family, by talking to each other and making decisions together. But these funds are specifically for Emma and Jake's educational futures, and they'll remain untouchable for any other purpose. Emma was staring at me with wide eyes. Abuela, how much are we talking about? Enough for 4 years at any state university, or a substantial contribution toward private school if that's what you choose. You'll never have to choose your education based on what your family can afford. Jake looked confused. Does this mean we're rich now? It means you have opportunities, sweetheart. What you do with those opportunities is up to you. David was quiet, studying the papers I'd handed him. Finally, he looked up. Mom, this is incredibly generous. But are you sure? This is a lot of money. I'm sure. Your father and I never got to pay for your college. You insisted on working your way through, remember? This is my chance to invest in the next generation. Jennifer cleared her throat. Can I ask why you structured it this way? With no parental access? This was the delicate moment, the place where honesty could either heal or wound. I chose my words carefully, because I want Emma and Jake to know that their educational futures are secure, regardless of any family conflicts or financial difficulties. I want them to make choices about college based on their dreams, not on family politics or economic pressures. Jennifer nodded slowly, and I could see her understanding the unspoken message. This fund was insurance against future manipulation, protection against anyone, including her, using the children's futures as leverage in family disputes. That's actually really smart, she said quietly. I wish someone had done that for me when I was their age. Another small breakthrough. Jennifer acknowledging that security and independence were gifts, not threats to parental authority. As the afternoon wore on, we settled into the kind of easy conversation that had been impossible for years. David talked about his work projects. Jennifer mentioned a book club she'd joined, Dr. Dorge's suggestion for building social connections outside the family. Emma shared stories from school, including a boy she liked, but wasn't ready to introduce to the family yet. Jake showed U.S. pictures on his phone of the science fair project he was working on. Normal family conversation. No landmines, no hidden agendas, no careful editing of topics that might trigger conflict. Just people who loved each other, sharing their lives. As the sun began to set, painting my garden in golden light, I looked around the table at this complicated, wounded, healing family and felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Peace. Not the fragile peace of pretending problems didn't exist, but the solid peace of having faced the problems head-on and survived them. We weren't perfect, we might never be perfect, but we were honest. We were present. We were choosing each other every day, not out of obligation but out of genuine love. Jennifer helped me clear the dishes, working quietly beside me in the kitchen while the others stayed outside. It was the first time we'd been alone together since Costa Rica, and I could feel her nervousness. "Margaret," she said finally, drying a plate with more attention than it required. "I need to say something." I waited, giving her space to find the words. "I know I can't undo what I did. The lies, the money, the way I tried to cut you out of the children's lives. I know sorry isn't enough." "No," I agreed. "It's not enough. But it's a start. I was so scared," she continued, her voice barely above a whisper. "Scared that the kids would love you more than me. Scared that David would choose you over me. Scared that I wasn't enough to keep my family together. Fear makes people do terrible things sometimes. Dr. Dorge says that fear made me try to control everything instead of trusting that love is big enough to share." She set down the dish towel and looked at me directly. "I'm trying to learn that. To trust that Emma and Jake loving you doesn't mean they love me less." "It doesn't," I said simply. "Love multiplies, Jennifer. It doesn't divide." She nodded, tears gathering in her eyes. "I want to do better. For them. For David. Even for you if you'll let me." I studied her face, looking for signs of manipulation or calculation. But all I saw was exhaustion and genuine regret. A woman who'd spent years fighting battles that didn't need to be fought, finally ready to lay down her weapons. "I'll let you," I said. "But Jennifer, if you ever try to come between me and my grandchildren again, if you ever steal from them or lie to them about my feelings for them, there won't be another chance. Do you understand?" "I understand." "Good. Then let's go rejoin our family." As we walked back outside, I thought about the journey that had brought us to this moment. The betrayal and heartbreak of Costa Rica felt like something that had happened to different people. We'd all changed, some more than others, some more willingly than others, but we'd all grown. Emma was showing Jake something on her phone, while David explained the finer points of grilling to an audience that was clearly more interested in their devices than his techniques. "Normal. Peaceful. Real. Abuela," Emma said, looking up from her phone. "Would it be okay if I invited some friends over next weekend? Sarah and Madison want to meet you." "Of course, sweetheart. I'd love to meet your friends." "Cool. I told them you're the grandmother who flew to Costa Rica to confront our whole family when they were being jerks." "Emma," Jennifer protested, but she was laughing. "What? It's true. You were all being jerks and Abuela fixed it. Not fixed, exactly. But changed, certainly. Sometimes love required grand gestures. Flying to another country, freezing credit cards, confronting lies in public places. Sometimes it required setting boundaries so clear that even the most determined manipulator couldn't cross them. But mostly love required showing up. Day after day, conversation after conversation, choosing connection over control, truth over comfort, growth over stagnation. As my family gathered their things to leave, as hugs were exchanged and plans were made for next weekend's gathering, I felt Roberto's presence like a warm hand on my shoulder. He would have been proud of how we'd fought for each other, how we'd refused to let fear and pride destroy what mattered most. The house was quiet after they left, but it was a comfortable quiet. The quiet of a home filled with love, not the hollow silence of isolation I'd lived with for too long. I made myself a cup of tea and sat on my back porch, watching the stars emerge in the October sky. Tomorrow, Emma would call to tell me about her day. Jake would text me a funny meme or a picture of something he'd discovered. David would check in about weekend plans. Jennifer would send a carefully worded message about some family logistics, still formal but genuine. Normal family communication. The kind I'd thought I'd lost forever. Sometimes love meant accepting less than you wanted. Sometimes it meant fighting for more than you thought you deserved. But always it meant teaching people how to treat you, even when that teaching required consequences that broke your heart. My grandchildren knew they were loved unconditionally. My son had learned to ask for help instead of drowning in pride. And Jennifer was slowly learning that sharing love didn't diminish it. It wasn't the family I'd dreamed of, but it was better than the one I'd almost lost. And in the gentle darkness of my Texas evening, surrounded by the garden Roberto had planted and the memories we'd made together, that felt like enough. It felt like home. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily, and also to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.